What is up, gamers? Sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. Life's been busy, and I have been learning the new game, Modern Warfare 2 2022. I'm going to do this video a bit differently and just chat while the nuke in the background plays out. I just want to go over some of my thoughts about Modern Warfare 2 in parts event, but I also just want to review this video in about a year and see if things change, either from the dev side or my personal opinions. Got a lot to get through, so I'll just dive right in. I figure that I'll say some positives first, because I think there are definitely some good things about this game. You just have to sift through a lot of dog water to find it. So first, and I know this might sound a little odd, but I think that the amount of color we got in an Activision game is just really refreshing. I don't really struggle to see enemies on any of the maps, and I think it's just more vibrant than any of the past Activision games, which I'm a huge fan of. The maps themselves are all pretty good, with the obvious exception of the car bomb bridge. That one is pretty universally hated. The gunplay is good, hit detection is solid, there's very little packet loss, and overall, I think that if you bought this game without knowing it's a COD title, you just think it was a really sick FPS game. However, if you're a long-time COD player and you purchase this game, there are a lot of things you're going to have to come to terms with. Modern Warfare 2 did this weird thing where it tried to slow down the gameplay, which is odd to me because COD for the past many years has been this fast-paced, arcadey movement shooter, and it's what many of the players are used to. Activision tried to make this game more tactical, but it's not. It's Call of Duty. It's not tactical. And minor changes aren't going to change that. Everything feels slow in this game. Sprint out times, throwing equipments, calling in score streaks, swapping weapons even. It's just weird to me. And while I can get used to it, I can't say that I like the change. So this brings me to the movement, which is my biggest complaint about the game, but also the opinion I think will change the most over the next year. There's something incredibly satisfying over having even minor mastery of complex movement mechanics, and having a toolbox full of movement options, for me, makes the game more fun, and it also makes the skill ceiling higher. Spend more time in the game, and bam, you get better because you can actually do things that brand new players can't. And I get that this splits the community, but it's just so odd to me that a franchise that has always had various movement techs decides to give players all sort of movement options like variable walk speeds, regular movement, sprint speed, tac sprint speed, dolphin diving, sliding, ADS walk speed, strafe speeds. It tries to box the player in and specifically attempts removing advanced techs like slide canceling. It just doesn't really compute, and I feel like it's an odd design choice. One major plus for me, though, is that strafe jumping still works in this game, which is why I think that over time I'll come to love the movement. I just think that the only reason strafe jumping is in the game, though, is that they couldn't figure out how to remove it. I almost always end up loving the movement of any FPS game that I put thousands of hours in. I mean, even when I played PUBG, seriously, I thought it had great movement, but if I tried to play that today, it would feel like the clunkiest shit ever. So that's the point that I want to come back to in about a year, just see what I'm thinking, if the movement has changed, and also if I like it more. So moving on from the lack of movement, I'm just going to prattle some things off. Why change the perk system? Did anybody actually want this change? Did people request this change? It just feels like you could have balanced the perks better, like putting the competing perks in the same tiers instead of slowing down the time it takes to get them. I kind of get the minimap changes, but it seems odd to remove red dots when you shoot. Yet crank footstep audio. It just seems like those two choices are in direct contrast. Doesn't make sense. I can't stand riot shields in FPS games. I don't think they belong. They just are so cheesy. But they're not the thing I hate the most in this game. It's actually flashbangs. Flashbangs are the actual bane of my existence. It's a pure white screen for what feels like a full 2.5 seconds, which is an eternity in a game where the time to kill is just a few hundred milliseconds. There's no true counter to them either. The radius feels like it's 10 meters, and it doesn't matter if you look away and aren't looking at it when it blows up. Running the perk Battle Harden, which is supposed to counter it, it still leaves you flash for a full second or more. It's like 1.5 seconds. It's insane. The trophy system, while it is useful, they're not always available, and so you're just constantly getting flashbanged. Really wish that they would either nerf those a little, like, reduce the radius or make it so that if you're not looking at the flashbang, it doesn't, blind you, or just make Battle Harden an actual counter. Like, I think that Cold War handled this pretty well. The UI is horrible, and hopefully it will change. But yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. Again, they like redesigned the wheel, and they made something that's not a wheel. It's maddening that there aren't actual variable stats on weapons when they give us access to things like tuning and 5 million different attachments. Like, I would love to see some like actual variable stats. And I know I'm not the first person to say this. It's just, why have they not done this when this exists? Like, the stats exist, it's not like they don't. So I don't understand why they're not displaying it. And they've kept deaths off the scoreboard for mid-match, which is just so unnecessary. Like, they show it at the end of the match now, which is good. I'm glad that they do that, but why? I removed them from the scoreboard. Again, it's probably like a feel-good thing, like, oh, I don't know how many times I've died, and people aren't going to make fun of me for dying 20 times, but then you show it at the end of the match, so people are going to make fun of it anyways. But that said, please keep them, you know, at least showing at the end of the match. At least they're there. Something that I'm on the fence about, like, don't actually know if I like it or dislike it yet, is the weapon attachment unlock system. So as you level up your guns, you're supposed to unlock attachments that you can then put on them. But in this game, they do something where they force you to play with various different guns to unlock attachments for the guns that you want. And I don't super enjoy it, but at the same time, it is nice that it forces you to level some guns. I think that there's always like two phases of Call of Duty. There's the initial phase where you're just starting, you're learning the game, and you haven't leveled everything up. And then there's the phase where you have everything completely unlocked, and you're just playing the game the way that you want it. You have your guns built the way you want it, you know the maps really well. And to me, I always focus on the second part. Like, I'm only going to go through and unlock everything one time. So while it does bug me, it's not like a make or break on this game because I'm going to invest the time to do it. And so it is nice that, you know, it's making me try out various guns, but let's be real. I'm going to find some of the meta guns and just start cranking on them, just using them, because I don't really enjoy using bad guns. That's frustrating. I've got a lot more minor complaints, but overall, I really do have to admit that I'm enjoying the game. I've only got about 80 hours in it so far with around 475 games played, and I haven't really touched S&D yet. So we'll have to see what I think about the game when I'm in the quad digits on both hours played and games played. But until then, you know, peace out. Have a happy 2023, everybody. Got it. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Big plays.
You're just gonna see how far you can take it?
Yeah. I'm in a horrible gunfight with this guy right now, though. I just lost him immediately. All right. Well, you know what? That's it. That's all she wrote. Thank you. Thank you. A good game all around. Had to do it the last game of the day, you know? What was it? I died in kitchen, and then majority of the time I was actually playing the back. You know where the restaurant is? And I think it's north of this kitchen. I was playing the south side.